Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Dr. to Doctor in the Chat Room. We are so very excited to have you with us for this hour, and you are going to be glad that you joined us for this hour because we have a really great, relevant, but fun topic today. It's the one that you guys love to hear so much. So here we are again with our girl talk. We're going to be talking about relationships. But before we do, as we always say, just be safe and use those necessary precautions to stay safe because we are in the midst of a pandemic. So I say at the least, please just wear your mask. Wear your mask, please. Thank you. And I want to say hello to my beautiful co-host. How are you doing, Dr. West?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking. I'm super excited about today's show. I love to talk about relationships and all the things alike. So I'm excited to hear what these ladies have to share today.
Yeah. So relationships, again, that's our topic today. I'm always excited too to discuss it. Even more excited because of the guests that we have today. They've all been here on the show before, except for one person, and we're going to introduce her. So let's not waste any time because, as I said before we started the show, this hour always just flies by.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that we have plenty of time to talk. I want to start by giving you a little bit about our panel today. I have Mrs. Quache Spencer. She is married for 22 years in March. I have Mrs. Lateasha Johnson. She is married for 15 years. I have Miss Janice, that is Janice Williamson, and she has been in a long-term relationship for 11 years. I have Miss Janice McDaniel, who was here last time. She has a different status this time, single, but in a relationship.
Oh.
And then we have Dr. Rhonda Crenshaw, who joined us this time. She was not here last time. Hey, Rhonda.
Hello, how are you, Dr. Rhonda?
Doing well. And Rhonda has been married for 20 years. So I would imagine we're going to have some really unique perspectives today. And most of us are at least over 30.
Yes.
Speak for yourself.
That was good. Maybe almost 40.
Knocking on it.
Yeah. So our co-host is 39. And Tisha, I know you're 40 plus. Okay. So we should have some pretty good perspectives today. Wow. Hello to all of you lovely ladies. And thank you so much for being here today. We thank you. Gosh. Relationships. Something that I deem, complex, takes commitment. Some people say, it takes work. It takes effort.
Yes.
So many things that, and I feel like when I think about what a relationship is in 2022 versus what I was thinking, in my 20s or 30s, I feel like we've just totally moved away from what the traditional thoughts of what, relationships look like. But here's where I want to start. I want to start with love. Everybody, I don't know what that sound was, but I'm still going to talk about love.
Somebody wasn't happy about it.
I want to start with love, okay? When we say, and I'm going to assume, especially for those of you that are in relationships, I will just make the assumption, and I know assuming is not always so good, but I'm going to assume that you guys love your mates. Some people like to distinguish between love and in love. And I don't care how you do it, but I just want you to tell us and our audience, like, when you say, I love you, what do you mean? When you tell your partner, I love you, what does that mean for you? And what do you think it means for your partner?
Okay.
Start off real deep. Okay. Ladies.
Well, I'll go. I think when I say I love you, it means I take you as you are, with all of your flaws, with your good, your bad. It's unconditional. It doesn't matter when I have had an argument with you or we are in complete disagreement. I can still say I love you because it's besides all of that. It's really, I go to the ends of the earth with you. I'm not going to leave you because we're having a bad day. I love you. And just to give a different perspective, it's not just at this point, it's not even I love you. It's I still like you. I want to be around you and spend time with you. So it's a little deeper than I take you with your good and bad, like for better or for worse. It's I want to spend time with you on Valentine's Day.
And you know what? Because of a conversation that I had with a couple of guys last weekend, and I was talking about this show coming up, and I totally forgot to do my research. And one of you may know the answer to this. And if you don't, it's okay. It's not even what the show is about. But they, something about Valentine's Day, and they were like, that's something that was, I don't know, thought up by somebody or whatever. I took it kind of,
paganistic. That's what most guys say.
Yes.
It's an old pagan holiday.
Yeah, and I look at it like kind of like Black History Month when they say, we're Black all year long, right? And why are we celebrating love, for this one day and all of that? So I forgot to do my research, man. I really wanted to know the history behind Valentine's Day and why some people have, these feelings about it. But go ahead, ladies.
So we're still talking about love?
We're still talking about love.
I always think of, when I think of love in any relationship, whether it's with a friend or family member or a lover, I always think of just being loyal. Just being faithful, being loyal, being true to the game, being your authentic self with that person. And it almost goes back to the biblical part, like, is that agape love, because it's unconditional. So it's like, what's her name? Spencer,
Quache.
What's your first name?
Quache.
Quache. Like she said, it's like, it's for better, for worse, but it's even deeper than that. Like, I like it. Like, there's a time when it's non-negotiable. It's like, it's not something that you could do or say necessarily to make me not love you. I may fall out of love with you.
Yeah.
But there's not
stop loving you.
There's not much that you can do to make me not love you once I've loved you. Yeah, for some people, not everybody, because there's some people that I have loved that I don't love no more. Or maybe I need to think about it and ask myself if I really love that person. Because there's not many people that I've loved and don't still love them. So I guess when I really think about it, I really didn't love that person.
So what's I still want to talk about love. I'm not moving away from it, but I've heard unconditional twice. What does unconditional really look like? I mean, like anything goes?
No.
No.
Oh,
not anything. No.
Not anything.
I
Very close, but not anything.
I know, right? You can tolerate a lot.
Yes.
It's unconditional love.
Let me share something. I don't know that, and I would venture to say perhaps when you're talking about unconditional, maybe that would be me. I don't know that unconditional fits love. Acceptance, yes. I can be accepting of who I've learned that you are, but not unconditional. And so for me, when I got to a place of understanding, because life brings things and situations, and when I got to a place of understanding me and loving me, it made it easier to be loved and to love. And so that brought about a change, because then I can be comfortable enough that allows me to understand. See, love casts out all fear, and that's what the Bible tells me. So when there's an uneasiness, I can feel it first, I can address it, but I'm safe to be in that. And that's perhaps brings about maybe the misunderstanding of unconditional. No, I don't think it comes with unconditional factors, because we are accountable to one another and love one another.
So when I hear unconditional, I think of, that means I don't want to change you. I accept you for who you are. But that buds up against, if I love you, I want you to also be your best. So when somebody says, I love you unconditionally, does that to you ladies mean, does that equate to, I never want you to change, I never want you to be any better?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Unconditionally means I do love you for who you are. I do love my husband who still leaves his socks in the middle of the floor. 22 years later, that's not going to change. I don't love him any less. I do want him to stop doing that, but I know he's not. So yes, that does mean that I take you with all that you come with all of your flaws. But I do want to make you a better you. I think he makes me a better me, and I make him a better him. Like we have built a beautiful thing together that I don't think that we could have built apart. So I know that we have made each other better. And I love what Dr. Crenshaw said, because there is accountability there. But at the end of the day, I'm not going anywhere because you still leave your socks in the middle of
Does anybody else want to address that before we move on? Tisha?
No, I don't. Quache pretty much, she spilled it. She said a lot of what I would have said, because we've had these conversations several times. Like she said, D is the guy that he never shuts doors. I don't care if it's the pantry door, if it's a cabinet, I go behind him, but I'm not going to love him any less because of that. No matter how many times I say, babe, please just shut the door. Just shut the door behind you when you walk out, or leave the pantry. Unconditional love, it's just that to me. There aren't any stipulations, when it comes to how much you can love that person. I mean, we've been together for 23 years and I don't think I can love him anymore, but just when I think I can't, he'll turn around and he'll do something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in love all over again. And that's the difference in loving somebody and being in love too. I love you guys. I love you, Rhonda. I love you, Quache. I'm not in love with you.
Yeah.
I love you. And I think that's a difference too, when it comes to love.
Yeah. So Q, you brought up something that was interesting, and we've got about 4 minutes, and I just wonder if you could expound on it just a little bit. You were talking about, even when when we're having a bad day, what do bad days look like? Not because of what happened, but how do you interact with each other? What's your do you guys have a way of kind of interacting or not engaging during a bad day? Q.
Oh, me? I thought you said Kim. I was like, maybe somebody's nickname is Kim.
She said Kim too, and I was looking like, who's Kim?
I was like, do I need to answer?
No.
Okay. So on a bad day, if things just aren't clicking, the could be something that happened at work, could be something that, but with the girls, my daughter was caught in the hurricane in New Orleans this past fall, and that was her first year away. So bad days like that. And on those days, what I do find is that I'm the person that goes from 0 to 100. And the one thing that I love about my husband is that when I'm going from 0 to 100, it's like he gets calmer. So on a bad day, for me, he is my calm. He steadies me. He makes me understand that it's gonna be okay. We got this. We'll get through this. This is nothing we haven't conquered before. Like, together, it's gonna be okay. We'll get through this. And I think you need that kind of person in your life, because I am a true 0 to 100 person. That's just my personality. And I know that about myself. And in 22 years, Cookie knows that about me as well. He knows it too. He almost sense it when it's coming. And he's just like, do you need something? I'm gonna go run to the store. Like, give me my moment, come back, and let's reset. And he's extremely good about that. And I need that when I am having a bad day. And that is one of those better or worse. When we moved to Nashville and I didn't have a job, and I'm a person who believes I'm supposed to be working. I had lots of bad days because I'm supposed to be working. I'm supposed to be contributing to this family. So many times he helped me to be able to appreciate how I am contributing to the family. You don't have to be bringing in an income to contribute to this family. So he's always that steadiness in a bad day for me. If that makes sense.
So when you have your bad moments, I'd like to hear especially since you're single but in a relationship, Janice. I'd love to hear like what bad days are like. How do you interact? Everybody's different. Some people, I'm the kind of person, like, I kind of shut down and kind of go within myself, right? Has nothing to do with the person, but
when I have a bad day, I create. I was talking to Lateasha earlier. She said she liked my paintings, and I said, "Oh, I did those a few years ago." Like, I just decided that's how I calm myself, and that's one of the things that I like about the man that I'm in a relationship now. Is like, he's calming. Like, both of us, I am a true extrovert. And I vowed I would never date an introvert again. And damn it, here I am.
Oh. Guys, we're talking all things relationship. We've come up on a break. We're going to go to break, and we'll be right back on Doctor to Doctor in a moment. And we're back on Doctor to Doctor in the chat room. We are here talking all things relationships today. Always such a fun topic, and even more so with our guest today. So the last time you guys were here, we talked about soulmates, and everybody had their take on, what soulmates are. I gotta find my notes. And I read an article recently about soulmates, and basically what it said was, if you find yourself looking for a soulmate, you're really going to have a hard time, because what you're looking for is perfection. So, and I can't find my notes, but if taking that thought in mind, do you still feel that soulmates exist? Because I think everybody said, yeah, and even felt like you were with your soulmates. What do you think soulmates are? Huh?
I think it still exists. I think it exists in all relationships. Sometimes you have that friend, that girlfriend that just knows you through and through. I can talk to Jan on the phone sometimes, and Jan's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Girl, I'm good." She's like, "Really? Really? You think I don't know you? You think I can't hear it in your voice?" So it's kind of like that person that knows your soul, that knows the true essence of who you are, and they're connected to you in that way. It's not like that movie that came out a few years ago, and the guy said, "You complete me." No, you complete yourself.
Okay.
But when you find that person that you can truly connect to, and it spans across all relationship. I only have one son, and I'm sure for those of you that have two children, you love them deeply, but there may be one that you are just truly connected to that child. You just know the true essence of what makes that child ticks, what makes that child who they are. And that's how it is sometimes in a relationship. And if you find that, then consider yourself truly blessed that you can find somebody that you are truly connected to. I want what Quache has. I want that. I want that, girl. As the kids say, goals.
Yeah.
Goals.
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 Yeah.
I agree with Janice. I think soulmates do exist. I don't think that you should be looking for perfection, but I think your soulmate may not be somebody else's soulmate. I think what makes Cookie my soulmate is our crazies match. That's what I tell people. You know, he's the yin to my yang, but that's what makes us soulmates. And I don't think there's a perfect person in this world. So you have to know that if you and your person are good for one another, then you in fact are blessed to be able to say, not everybody, but you're blessed to say you found your soulmate. And for me, that's what I think about when I think soulmate.
I really don't have a lot extra to say on it. Quache keeps, pretty much taking the words out of my mouth.
I'm not talking on the next question. I'm gonna let everybody.
Me either.
I don't think anyone should look for the perfect person. None of us are perfect. We're on earth. We're not God.
Right.
I never look for perfection. I look for the person that would help perfect me, that was more for me, that fit me and what I like to do and my goals, and vice versa. When I first met Dee, our first date, we ended up playing a game of basketball together by the end of the night. And I think he really knocked me down to the ground because I was getting ready to beat him.
Yeah.
But I remember getting up like, this just might work. We're two crazies out here at 11:30 at night playing basketball on the first date. I just think that, you have to be able to have some give, because sometimes you may not see what you're looking for in that person. It may take a minute. So don't let the first incident be the make or break. In relationships, you're going to go through things. Again, you're not perfect. What's the saying? Neither one of us are perfect, but we're perfect together, or perfect for each other. That's about the best way I can put it. Yin and yang.
Yeah. Jan, you on the bottom of my screen just looking. I need
Which Jan?
You.
Me, Jan. I'm taking it all in.
So we talk about mental health.
Did Rhonda have her hand up?
Did you, Rhonda? Were you going to say something?
I didn't. I don't have my hand up. I hope I don't. I'm not on my device. So
okay. We talk about mental health a lot on the show. And that's just one of the topics that we keep at the forefront. Okay. And I wanted to hear your thoughts about, even those of you that have been in long-term marriages, I've been saying a lot lately how this pandemic has just really put things in perspective for me about, taking care of myself, my holistic self. And I think it's prompted us to talk more about mental health. How do you think we should approach relationships when it comes to that? Should we be asking, we in the past, we talked about, I'm saying traditionally, when we meet somebody, we think about like, what do they do for a living, and, how he looks or how she looks, or how they carry themselves in certain ways. But what about mental health? Should we start asking questions about that? Rhonda?
I feel like, I think it's such a good time, definitely, as you mentioned, through the pandemic. I think we as a whole need to be better informed. As we have gone through the pandemic and as we grow, having relationships, period, especially for those of us who work with youth, we learn that in dealing with people, it's not so much what is wrong with that man. What's wrong with that person? I forgot we were, what's wrong with you, as much as it is what happened.
What happened?
And so, I think it's up to us as being, we like to say we're the total package, but if I'm the total package, there's some things I need to understand, not only about me, but in turn that helps me to understand about people with whom I associate with, and definitely with whom I choose to be in relationship with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what about even background, family background? What about, what's your relationship like with your dad? What's your relationship like with your mom? How has that impacted who you are in relationships, in other relationships?
I think those are relevant questions and observations. And unfortunately for me, I don't know that. I think we just started learning this yesterday. So it's good for those of us who are still having an opportunity, but even in long-term relationships, those of us who come to understand that, you learn how to, perhaps how to conflict resolve, how to handle conflict resolution, how to even understand not so much what you're doing, but how did it happen, and peeling it back, being in that safe place to even try to peel it back.
Yeah. I think now you said we're just coming into that. I think we've always been there. I think we were just afraid to know the answers. And I think that women have gotten comfortable enough now to actually ask the right questions.
And be okay with what we say if we need to exit stage left.
Yeah.
Right. I think sometimes we just didn't want to know. Like we saw the red flags, we saw things that our intuition told us, no, don't do that, this not right. But we didn't ask the right questions because we didn't want to know the answer. And I think we're at a place now. Pardon me?
I was gonna say, or we painted those red flags white and pretended we didn't know.
Yes, I like that.
That was good.
We painted them white. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I think women are at a stage where it's okay to ask the questions, because we're at a place now where it's okay if we're not in a relationship. It's like, when we were all grown up, especially those of us that are 50 and over, it was like, I'm supposed to be in a relationship. I'm supposed to go to college, supposed to get a job and get a husband and have 2.5 kids,
Yep.
And so now it's like, now we're like, okay, it's okay if I don't do all that. And I can ask the right questions and I don't have to be in a relationship. I may choose to be in a relationship. I may want to be in a relationship, but I don't need to be in a relationship.
Absolutely. And I think in the younger generations, the kids now, I think so many people, and it may be that we're seeing more of it, like you said, with the pandemic. I think so many more people are going to therapy, having a therapist. And so it's almost commonplace when you are talking to someone that you're considering dating, to discuss those types of things. My older daughter is beginning to dabble in dating. And so those are things that her and the young guy that she was talking to when she was home for the break, they had conversations about that. They both have a therapist. So,
Isn't that awesome to see?
Yeah,
it is. It really is. It's a relief that, you know, if she's having a bad day, or I've checked in on her and she's just, you know, school has gotten hard, Owen hadn't called, or, you know, whatever. Is Sky, have you talked to Miss Tiffany? That's her therapist. And she was like, yeah, I sent her an email. I think I'm going to check in with her next Monday or whatever. So it is healthier, and I think it's more commonplace now. Whereas, you know, when my husband and I were dating, that wasn't anything that we talked about. And thank goodness it, you know, we talk about it now. When the girls got ready, when Sky got ready to go off to school, Savannah's graduating this year, I was like, I'm going to be an empty nester. I have been devoted to getting kids to band practice and doing XYZ. I'm struggling with this.
You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
I need to check with somebody. So
Girl, throw up the red flag right here.
you see? So I
give both of you 6 months, and you're going to be, when are you going back to school?
Yes, I'm a testament. I can testify to that.
Yes.
You start off saying, when you coming home? I thought it was this weekend. Oh, it's next weekend. And then you just be like, you're gonna die. And then all of a sudden they start telling you they coming home. And before they get there, you be like, now when you going back? Now what day you going back?
You are absolutely right. And I tell you what, having one home and one gone, that's a struggle. Because they used to, you know, entertain one another.
That's
and
right.
Now it's like, at this point, I told Lateasha, I was like, now, I really just can't wait for Savannah to be gone. Like, I can't have one without the other. I need them both gone or both here. But I'm with you. When Sky completely overstayed her welcome for Christmas.
Lord.
Okay, so ladies, we have about 3.5 minutes before the next break. I have a question about relationships in the pandemic. So during the pandemic, divorce rates increased quite a bit. So I'm wondering, and this is not just for the married couples, but couples, period, who live together, how did that impact your relationship? And how did you sustain it? You know, in the beginning of the pandemic, we were on shutdown and people were in the house together, getting on each other's nerves. And how did you all sustain your relationships and not want to kill each other during the beginning of the pandemic? And how have you nurtured it throughout this time?
Oh, I want to hear that from Jan.
Pass. I'll pass on that one.
You know what? And I want to add to the question a little bit, especially since prior to the pandemic, right? You could be individuals and get out and do your own thing,
Right.
you know, and all of that. And it's just like, no.
Yeah.
We're all here together. We're stuck here together.
Mm-hmm.
I actually started dating during the pandemic. And I started dating online during the pandemic. So
hold up. We talked about online dating last time. You tried it.
I tried it. Yeah, I tried it. I had tried it prior, but I wasn't having any luck. So, and I just took a break from it. And then I decided, like, I said the phase 2 of the pandemic, not 2020. So in 2021, I said, you know what? I'm going to try it again. So I tried it again. And I actually met him like by a fluke, you know, is Lateasha like through sports. So I kind of met him by, you know, by a fluke. And so it's just kind of like, okay, okay. We have things in common. Oh, I kind of like this guy. Oh, okay, he's good. So then it went from, okay, when are we gonna meet? And so, okay, well, we need to meet each other. Like, dang, we're in the middle of a pandemic though. And he lives in another city.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had just given up hope on all things Memphis. All men. But
Yeah.
so it's working. It's working because it gives me the opportunity to, because I realized I like my space. I never thought that I would like being by myself, you know, because I had been married for 23 years. And but I kind of like having my space and going to see him or him coming to see me. But it's working, you know, it's just working. We're thriving.
Good.
Yay. That's good to hear.
I think we might need to take our second break, but maybe we should come back on the other side and talk to those married couples and those couples that live together.
Yes.
How they kept it together.
Yeah, we want to know how y'all kept the home fire burning. We'll be right back on 94.7 FM.
And we're back. Thank you for sticking around with us. We have some lovely ladies here that are answering questions about relationships. And before the break, we were talking about the pandemic and how it has impacted couples and married couples. And so you guys were going to tell us a little bit about what you did to kind of keep the fire burning and to keep from maybe, you know, breaking each other's necks, being in the same house all day with each other. So let us know how you guys did that.
I'll start off. I think for D and I, it was, we're both so busy all the time, especially in the beginning, it was very good for us because we had a lot of quality time together that we wasn't used to having that was needed. We didn't know that it was needed before it was needed. But there were times where we still were like, oh my gosh, okay, it's been 2 weeks, you're getting on my nerves now.
Of course.
But there was a lot of snuggle time, and anybody that knows D, there's never a dull moment. So even in our at odd times, he'd find a way to, you know, break the ice. He's kind of like Biggie Smalls in the Biggie movie when Faith was mad at him and he started beatboxing and he's beatboxing. He's going, she's like, don't do that. You know, I'm mad. That's him.
Yeah.
That's him. He's going to find a way to break the ice. And then the cycle just starts all over again. But again, quarantine turned out to be very good for us. Not for our daughter though. She was at home with us. It was her freshman year of college. So again, you know, you have those college students, you just want them to go back to school and leave us alone. Let us have our empty nest.
Yeah.
But it was good for us. Yeah.
Fortunately for us, Cookie is in the healthcare arena. So he was an essential worker. So he would go to work and come home and I would be home with the girls, which was strange, but it helped us to appreciate when he was gone, like he was actually putting himself in danger. So we actually really appreciated having him home and having that time. We did so many things together as a family because before that, you got teenage girls driving, taking themselves places now, band, bowling, tennis. So they were never home. So we just got a chance to spend more time as a family, which the weird thing about it was it seemed like the more time we spent together as a family, it brought Cookie and I even closer together. We played Scrabble, like old school Scrabble with the board. We taught our girls how to play spades because we said you can't go off the couch and not
know how to play spades. Yeah.
We watched old 70s movies like Uptown Saturday Night. Just did things that you don't take the time to do. So it really, I'm like Lateasha, it was good for us. It was good for us as a family, but in turn, it was good for us as a couple. And when we just got so tired of sitting in the house, we would just drive and go down to the lake and sit in the car like a teenage couple and just hang out and do things that you don't think to do when you've got all your access and all of your means. You don't think to do that, but it made us, it was really good for us for a while. Like, I was totally okay with the quarantine. A good couple of 2-3 months. I really was. Still trying to work remotely.
So when we were on break, we had a little sidebar conversation. I had asked earlier about, what about, finding out about your potential partner's background, where they come from, their relationship with their mom, their dad, or whomever. And Jan, you kind of shared something, you were going to share a little bit with us. Would you share with the audience, please?
Well, you all were talking about mental health, and that is more, seeking mental health services is more prevalent than it was maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I said that when I met my in-laws, I actually interviewed my mother-in-law, because I'm a social worker. And so I really use a intake form.
Wow.
And went through it with her. Yes. And even when we were married, I was married 20 plus years. It would have been 30 years this year. So I think it was 22 years. Anyway, we were very good friends. I'm really close with his family, his parents. And he and I went to counseling. So I was just showing you a different spin that,
what did you find out from her? What did you find out in interviewing her? Were there any things that were highlighted that made you say, maybe I should know her?
No, that came after I married. So, but you know what? In how should I say this? You know how, okay, so they have, I don't want to throw them under the bus, but they do have there were significant mental health problems in the family. Primarily, in the family. But you know how people have, gosh, I hate saying this, but people have said historically, that crazy uncle or the person in the back room, or
yes,
we just tend to normalize people's behavior. So
yeah,
I don't know if she thought that this was a problem. The mental illness in the family. So yeah, but once I when I would learn about different people, I would be like, okay, all righty. So,
yeah, I get that. Yeah.
for sure.
So would you suggest that to, people dating, younger people dating, or just getting into dating? Would you recommend, sit down with this person?
Oh, and we also have premarital counseling. And that was in I got married in 92. So that was 1992. We had premarital counseling, and we actually, he was excellent. We talked about everything: finances, sex, children. I mean, we covered everything. So yeah, I would recommend premarital counseling. I would recommend counseling or a tune-up, just like you take your car in, you update your home, you update your wardrobe. So don't think that a relationship, whether you're married or not, is just going to thrive doing the same thing all the time and not checking in.
Yeah.
You need to ask your partner, are you okay? Are we okay? You can't.
I like that. I like that.
I want to go back to we were talking about soulmates, and earlier, and we talked about unconditional love. And I was just sitting here thinking, well, I think Christ is the only person or the only being that loves unconditionally. Because we mess up all the time. And I don't really believe that human beings love unconditionally, because even when you're dating or when you have your own criteria what you want. So if it's unconditional, then you would just take anything. So you say, I want this, I want this tile, I want this, I want to have this much money, I want, you check off all your lists. Those are conditions. Okay, so that's what I want to say about
Look at Lateasha's face.
Love that.
You're like,
And-
yeah, too. Right.
I do too. I love it too.
Yeah.
In Acts of Faith by Van Zandt, she wrote, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And so Jan mentioned earlier that maybe she didn't love people because she doesn't love them now, but I think the opposite. I think you can love people for a season, for a reason, or even a lifetime. I loved my husband when I was married to him, and I love him as a person now. I'm not in love with him, and I think in love is that goo goo gaga, all that, So I think you can love people for a time.
No,
Okay,
I agree with
that's a
that.
great. Go ahead, Janice.
No, I'm gonna say down. No, I said I agree with that. I think I was thinking about one particular relationship.
Y'all know we have to let our comedian just inject something every now
Thinking
and then.
about one, I was like, nah, I ain't love that joke. I thought I loved.
So listen, that's a great segue into this question. Is it possible for a human being to be in love with more than one person?
Oh Lord.
No. As
So
in a
it's really,
relationship.
and I ask this question because when I talk to the guys, there's a different perspective, but I just want to know how. I don't think I ever asked the ladies, can you love more than one person? Can you be in love with more than one person?
Do you mean like in a relationship? Because we love, but in love, I think that goes with the standards or the understanding that this is a relationship. We have a agreement.
Monogamous relationship.
Understanding. And so, no, I mean, and if we are to talk about what love is, I don't see that there is room for that. So
I agree, but everybody don't think that.
I was gonna say, you have people in, what is it, polyamory, or they have two people and they know about each other, and sometimes three people live together and they're quite comfortable with that.
I agree with that, but it's always that
panel.
one woman it's that one wife that he sees as special.
What did you say, Jan?
I said he may be in a polyana, whatever you called it,
but he got
but
one
he may
wife.
have three wives or whatever. But it's one of those wives that he's gonna see is a little more special than those others.
But I'm saying there are some women who have two men, and the three of them, it's not a secret. That's the way they. You don't watch Michael Basin on Facebook, girl?
No, ma'am, we don't. We
Say more.
No, do not.
It's not.
I just know that somebody's gonna get a little more attention than the other person.
But that may be okay for them.
Well, yes, and the question is not about whether it's acceptable or not.
We're thinking about what we would do and what we want and what's acceptable, but we can't say what that other person wants. Just like Jan, you said earlier, I'm okay in a, with him being, with a long distance relationship. Right. There are some people who need to see their partner every day. So who's to say which one is right or wrong?
So I'm not even talking about whether it's acceptable or not so much as is it possible? Like, is it mentally and emotionally possible?
Not for me.
To even have me either. I mean, but you know,
I think that's the biggest piece. When you say not for me, and today's society has proven that what you like is what you do.
Exactly.
This is what you said.
Let me tell you why.
I got another question, and I don't want to leave.
I want to hear what Lateasha had to say.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lateasha.
There's no way I could be in love with more than one person, because there's no way I could split all of me into more than just that one person.
Say that.
I tell Quache all the time, and I give D my all with everything, in everything that we do, no matter what we're going through. He's going to get the best of me, 110%, whatever it is. There's no way I can split that between two people. Somebody's going to get the short end of it.
Somebody's going to lose.
Okay, we got about 4 minutes, and I got a very important question that I want to ask, because I had some guys ask me about this, and I paid attention. They were like, you know, what is the effect of women in menopause?
Well, everybody on the panel is 25. So
What do they mean?
On a relationship. And so one of them kind of got a little whatever, because I was like, you know, men kind of go through things, you know, a span of, you know, life. Well, see, that's why he was like, why? That's why I know it's already going to be a problem, because the first thing you thought of is men have, you know, well, I wasn't trying to go tit for tat, right? But I guess I'm just saying, like, every woman doesn't really go through menopause, right? The typical symptoms that, you know.
Every woman goes through menopause, they just go through it differently.
There you go. There you go. So that's what I was saying, those typical symptoms that people think about. Every woman don't just go through all that. So, you know, has that been, since all in a certain, you know, is that a problem?
I don't think it's necessarily
25, Rhonda. Why would we know that? We're only 25.
Good point. Good point.
I don't think it's a problem if you've been in a long-term relationship with a person that you are growing with.
Mm-hmm.
I think it may be a problem. Let's say like a person for me that's starting a new relationship, and I have someone, and if I had someone, I don't, but if I had someone that was maybe younger than I am, and then it may be a problem for us. But as we grow older, especially when you get 50 years old, like as we decline, and a lot of times we're declining a lot slower than they are declining.
Yes.
You know, so I don't think it's a problem for women. I think sometimes we get in a rut. Sometimes we need to try something different, but I don't necessarily know that it affects women. Now, some women have physical issues, but a lot of the physical issues for women can be fixed. Whereas the physical limitation that men have cannot be fixed. I'm just saying. There's a decline.
Now y'all heard Janice.
And think about it, for those of us that are over 50, especially those of us who are 40 and over that are married or been in long-term relationships, can't you say that your intimacy and your relationship with your husband has really gotten better for you? Like, we're still peaking. We still like, yeah. They sometimes need a little help.
Way more time.
Thank you, Dr. Jan.
When I come to Memphis, I'm gonna have drinks with her.
So
I'm going with you.
Man, we need more time.
So we're gonna have to end the show unless you guys want to do a part 2. We're gonna have to end this show.
You have to bring us back.
Has it been bring us back again, and talk about what they really want to hear. Let's just talk about sex.
Yeah.
Because we made it such a taboo that people don't talk
And
about
it. And it shouldn't be.
And we really do
And it
need to
shouldn't
talk
be.
about it.
Right.
And it
Right.
shouldn't be.
Right.
Guys, please come back next week and share with us in this hour, same chat channel, same chat time. We will see you guys next week on 94.7 FM.